Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a review on the Too Faced Peanut Butter and Jelly palette. First of all, I just want to say to the few of you that follow my videos, I'm really sorry I didn't get to upload last week. I just had a few health problems and I don't want to go into, but I spent the majority of the week in my bed, and also I just seem to not be able to think or speak very coherently. There we go. Is that a word? I think that's the word I'm looking for. I forget the simplest words. It's just really crazy, and I think it's just to do with whatever's going on. And yeah, I'm super tired all the time. I really wanted to do this review all last week, but I just could not find the energy to do it. So today I feel like I've got a little bit of energy, so I'm gonna try and give you a half decent review on this palette, so please bear with me. Anyway, let's get straight into the review. Okay, so by now you've all probably seen this palette on social media. It has been everywhere. It's been nearly impossible to get hold of. I know the first 2 times I tried to get hold of it, it was sold out, and then I was third time lucky. So for those of you in the UK that are trying to get hold of this palette, it is not going to be available in the UK as far as I'm aware. I noticed on Too Faced Twitter they retweeted they retweeted someone's tweet saying that this was not going to be available in Debenhams, which is basically the main stockist of Too Faced in the UK. Fortunately now though, Too Faced do ship to the United Kingdom, which is how I managed to get hold of this palette. So if you do really want this palette, that's the way that you are going to have to get hold of it. I have checked their site though, and it is saying sold out, so I'm not sure if that means it's sold out for good, because it has been selling out quite regularly and then they've been restocking it. So it might just be worth keeping an eye on the site. So that's how I managed to get hold of this palette. I've had it for a while now, but I just really wanted to play around with using the eyeshadows and in different ways and with different brushes to really give you guys a decent review on how these eyeshadows perform. UK price for this is £27. The usual price for these 9 shadow palettes in the UK, if sold in the UK, is usually £32. I imagine they put in like taxes and imports or whatever, so it's £27. But then you have to take into consideration the shipping, and the shipping is, I think it was like £20. So for £7 more, like equivalent wise, you could have got another one of these palettes. So shipping is steep, like really steep. So this was an expensive palette to buy overall for like 9 eyeshadows. But pretty much for the price I paid for this, I could have gone and bought a chocolate bar palette here in the UK. So just keep that in mind if you want to buy this. Like, remember that you're going to have to pay the shipping price, and the shipping price is pretty expensive. Okay, so let's talk packaging. As per usual, Too Faced are just incredible with their packaging. I do feel like with them though that you're either going to really love it or really hate it. When they go for a theme, I feel like they go all out with that theme. So here is the packaging. It's got these really cute little peanuts here. You got your piece of bread with your peanut butter and what I would call jam, but I know in America it's considered jelly. And she's even got some little cute eyelashes going on as well, and the letters are all nice and raised, and you've got these kind of little gold accents on the packaging as well. It's just really beautiful, and that's just the cardboard box. So before I get onto the packaging of the palette itself, we'll just read out this little blurb it has on the box here. Okay, so it says here that it's inspired by the social media sensation that is peanut butter from our best-selling semi-sweet chocolate bar collection. We created the peanut butter palette of 9 gorgeous matte and shimmer shades featuring antioxidant-rich cocoa powder with a creamy peanut butter twist. It includes our signature glamour guide with 3 looks to get you started. And that's really cool. I've just noticed this little speech bubble here with a piece of toast with the peanut butter, just saying, don't worry sweetie, this product doesn't contain any actual peanuts. And I think I watched Jared Blandino's YouTube video on this palette, and he does say that it doesn't contain any actual peanuts, so it should be absolutely fine for those of you who do have nut allergies, because I know that I think that was a concern. Because this palette is scented, it's like, I think it's supposed to be peanut butter scented, but it has, because it's got the cocoa formula, it smells a little bit like the chocolate bar palettes, but you do get a slight scent of peanut butter. It's really nice. It does remind me of something, but I can't think of what. Okay, so the palette itself is like the typical 9 shade palettes that you get from Too Faced nowadays in tin packaging. They used to be in cardboard, but tin is much nicer. It's nice and sturdy. It's got a magnetic opening. Again, you've got your piece of bread or toast with peanut butter on it and the tiniest bit of jam slash jelly, and it is raised. I don't know if you guys can notice that there, so that's a really nice touch. And of course the packaging is covered in these little peanuts here. And then on the back you've got, I believe, what is the same blurb that you get on the cardboard packaging as well. So once you open the palette up, it looks a little bit like this. So you have your 9 shades at the bottom here. At the top you have your little lookbook and how to glamour guide. I'll just take that out. So pretty much I believe like all of the Too Faced palettes come with these type of glamour guides now. But this just gives you 3 different looks that you can create with this palette. So if you're not sure how to use it or you need some inspiration, this is a great way of doing it. And then on the back it goes through the steps in how to create these looks. So that's like a cool little bonus that Too Faced tend to do with their palettes nowadays. So once you've taken that glamour guide out, you have this nice little mirror here. It's quite a good size. The palette stands up itself, which is actually better than the chocolate bar palettes. I feel like the chocolate bar palettes, they are hinged, but the mirror still goes too low, whereas I feel like this is quite a nice angle. So that's really good, and it's just a nice cute little mirror. So at the top it says Too Faced, and then at the bottom it just says peanut butter and jelly. So as usual with the Too Faced £9 palettes, they tend to always lay everything out. So you've got 3 different looks, which is great for beginners, or even if you just need a bit of inspiration once again. They lay out 3 different types of looks that you can do. So this is the soft and gentle row. And in the soft and gentle row you have Spread the Love, Peanut Butter and Peanut Butter Cup. And then in the rich and creamy row you have Bananas, Peanut Brittle and Jammin'. And then in the PB and J row you have Extra Creamy, Jelly and Nuts About You. So let's talk about the eyeshadows in this palette. So basically you get 1, 2, 3 nut shades, and they are Peanut Butter, Nuts About You and Extra Creamy. So those are the matte shades in the palette. The other shades that are slightly, I call them more satin, with like a kind of shimmer micro glitter type thing running through them, and that would be Spread the Love. Bananas is actually, it applies pretty shimmery on the lid, but it swatches like more of a satin to me. It's not super shimmery though. And Jelly as well. And then you get the really shimmery shadows, and that would be Peanut Butter Cup, Peanut Brittle and Jammin' as well. So as you guys can see, this is definitely a warm palette. So if warm eyeshadows are not your thing, then I would just say to give this palette a miss, because I mean that's pretty much all you're getting are just a warm toned eyeshadows. Very warm browns, ambery tones, terracotta tones, and then you've got a couple of the purple shadows in here as well. So if you don't feel like warm tones suit you, or they're just not your thing, then I would say to definitely avoid this palette. One of the other things I want to point out is, while I think this is a great little eyeshadow palette, I don't feel like any of the shades stand out to me as anything really unique. I feel like you could probably create similar looks using other shadows if you have a ton of other neutral palettes. So I don't necessarily feel like there are any standout unique shades in here. I also feel like I wish that they had a deeper, darker brown shade in this palette, just because Peanut Butter is like the darkest brown shade that they do, and I don't feel like that's dark enough. For example, with this look today, I've got, Peanut Butter Cup. I keep calling it peanut butter because it's right next to it, but I've got Peanut Butter Cup on the outer corner of my lid here, and to deepen it up I just used Jammin', which is a really dark plummy shade. You'll see it in the swatch, but it can come across like a bit of a darker brown, I guess. But I almost wish that this was more purple, and I wish that they included a darker brown shade. And that's the other thing, is I wish that like they maybe had more jelly shades in there. They have this shade here called Jelly, but that's the brightest that you're going to get. So it's basically a neutral shadow palette with a pop of colour. But maybe I would have liked to have seen more jelly shades. I almost feel like they could have created like a chocolate bar size palette with more shades. And I feel like they could have added some like raspberry jelly shades as well. One of the things I noticed with my palette, and this hasn't really happened to me with Too Faced before, so I'm guessing it's probably just something going on with my palette and the pan isn't stuck down so well. I'm not going to dig my nail in there or anything, but once I apply my brush into the jelly shade, the pan starts to wobble. So I'm just going to keep aware that that could fall out at any time and I might have to stick it back down. So that was slightly disappointing for me, but it's like nothing I can't fix, and as it's a one-off and it's never happened to me before, you know, I can live with it. But I did just want to point that out to you guys. But after much testing and swatching and applying these shadows on my eyes, I do feel like these shadows do perform really well. They do last well throughout the day. I do feel like they perform a lot better on the eyes than in the swatches, which for me is like a good thing, because I prefer that. You know, if they swatch really well and then they didn't perform well on the eye, you know, I'd be a bit more disappointed. The one shadow in particular that doesn't seem to swatch well at all is this one here called Jelly. I feel like it swatches terribly, and I was worried for a second that it was going to be like some of the other purple or slash blue shades that Too Faced do in their palettes, where they don't particularly swatch very well, but then they don't perform very well on the eyes either, and they always seem to have like a couple of those hanging around in their palettes, and I don't really get what's up with the formula with those. But I was actually quite pleased to find that Jelly did apply well to my eyelids. At least I didn't find any problems, and I actually felt like it was quite pigmented and quite vibrant, and I didn't have to use like a bright base or a purple base underneath to really get that purple to come together. I just used my MAC Painterly Paint Pot. I tried using it when I didn't prime my eyes at all, and it still came out really nice and vibrant. So I definitely prefer it with the Painterly Paint Pot, because I just feel like the shadow sticks to it a lot better. So that's the only shadow I thought I was going to have problems with, but I was actually pleasantly surprised. I also didn't feel like I was going to love this palette as much as I actually do. I feel like maybe if I had the Semi-Sweet palette, I might find that this is a little bit too similar to it, because obviously the Semi-Sweet palette is very warm toned, and it's where the peanut butter, like the original peanut butter shade, comes from. So I do feel like you can create a few good looks with this. Like you could create a nice day look if you just wanted to use these lighter shades. You could use this on the lid and maybe a very light touch of like peanut butter on the crease, and you could go out with just like a really nice neutral daytime shade. And then you could create something more like this, where I've gone really kind of warm, and it's almost come out kind of like an amber type tone. Or you could go kind of nice and vibrant, which is one of the looks I'm going to do. I think it should be up on Friday, hopefully. You could also combine the purple and warm shades, which a lot of people have done. They've done like a peanut and jelly kind of inspired eye, which is really cool. So that's just something to keep in mind. You know, you're not going to have a huge variety of like warm tones and cool tones. It is very much a warm toned palette. Although I do feel like Jelly is more of a cool tone shadow, but that's about the only one. Everything else for me is very warm toned. So let's get into some swatches. So I'm going to swatch from the top. So we'll swatch the soft and sweet row. So we're going to swatch Spread the Love, Peanut Butter and Peanut Butter Cup. Okay, so we have Spread the Love, Peanut Butter and Peanut Butter Cup. Now I don't know if the camera is going to pick this up, but I do find with these lighter matte shades, I talked about this with the Chocolate Bonbon palette as well, they do tend to be quite powdery, and they just tend to kick up quite a lot of product as well. They are really super pigmented, and I do love the formula of the Too Faced matte shadows. They're one of my favourite matte formulas, but that's just something to be aware of. So just make sure you tap off your brush before applying these to your eyes, because it does pick up a lot of product and you don't want to get a lot of fallout under the eyes. Spread the Love is just a really nice kind of peachy light orange shade, and it does have some tiny micro glitters in there, but I'd say this was like a satin shade. Then you have Peanut Butter, which is the shadow that the palette was named after. And then you have Peanut Butter Cup, which is like a super shimmery, dark bronzy shade with some gold glitters running through it. Okay, next shadows are from the Rich and Creamy line. So we're going to swatch Bananas, Peanut Bristle and Jammin'. And just to let you know, these are not swatched over primer or anything. I tend to rarely swatch over primer because I just like you guys to see how these perform without a primer. Okay, so we have Bananas, Peanut Bristle and Jammin'. And I'll swatch Jammin' here twice. So this one I've gone over twice, so it's a little bit more pigmented, and that's just one swipe of Jammin', and it can be a little bit patchy, so that's just something to look out for with Jammin'. So I just thought I'd show you two different swatches. So that's where I've gone over it twice, and then that's just a one swipe of Jammin'. Peanut Brittle is possibly my favourite shade in this palette. It is just super pigmented, super shimmery, and I almost feel like it comes off like one of those foiled shadows. But Jammin' is one of those dark plummy purpley shades. Again, it does apply okay on the eye, but I don't know, there's something about Too Faced and their purple and blue eyeshadows that, I don't know, I feel like I'm not sure about the formula on those. My hand is getting super orange from the swatches. Let me just get another baby wipe. And the final row is the PB and J row. So we have Extra Creamy, we have Jelly, and we have Nuts About You. Okay, so there is extra creamy, there is jelly, and there's nuts about you. Again, jelly isn't as bad, but the extra creamy, as I find with both the chocolate bar palette and the chocolate bonbon palette, it does tend to be extremely powdery. But it is extremely pigmented, and I do like the formula, and I'm wearing that as my brow bone highlight today. We then have jelly, which I'm going to swatch over it again in a minute, but that's just one swipe of jelly, and as you can see, it's, I don't know, it's not extremely what I would call pigmented. It definitely looks brighter in the palette. Like, if you can see, that's jelly in the palette against my swatch, so it's a lot less vibrant. But I did find once I applied this to the eye, it definitely resembled the palette more than what it does on the swatch. And then we have Nuts About You, which is just a beautiful burnt orangey terracotta shade. I really love this shade, and I feel like out of all of them, maybe this is the most unique shade. I feel like this and Peanut Brittle might be the most unique shades in the palette. Okay, so that's 3 swipes of jelly. So you can see it's a lot more vibrant now, but it does take a lot of building up in the swatch. It's just one of those shadows that doesn't swatch well whatsoever. I have to say that I have really enjoyed using this palette. I do really like it. I know I pointed out a couple of negatives, but it doesn't mean that I dislike it in any way. I just wanted to be honest with you guys and give you my honest thoughts. Do I feel like it's worth £27, or slash if it was sold in the UK, £32? Yes. Do I feel like it was worth that price with the shipping? Probably not. I feel like if you are a collector, or if you are dead set on getting this palette and you don't have any shadows like this, and it's just something that you've seen what people swatch and use and you're really excited about it, then I'd definitely say it probably is worth getting it for your collection. But I feel like if it's something you're unsure about, that's a lot of money to spend on something that, you know, you're not 100% about, because it's not like you can go into Debenhams or anywhere and swatch these and see how you feel about them. It's something where you're going to have to look online and make your mind up there and then, because it's not available in this country. So, and that's just some advice for the UK buyers out there. I feel like this is just an American exclusive. It's exclusive to Ulta, and of course you can also buy it on Too Faced because it's their palette, but I don't feel like it's available anywhere else either. So I'm not sure if it is available at the moment on Ulta. I know the Sweet Peach palette is selling out all over the place. I have found out with the Sweet Peach palette, Too Faced have confirmed that that is coming out. There have been a bit of debate on when it's coming out. I think Too Faced said it was coming out around the 17th of April, but then Debenhams have said it's coming out in May, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But as far as I'm aware, that is going to be available in the UK. It will be coming out in the UK either April or May, so just keep an eye out on the Debenhams website. That's where you're going to be able to purchase it from. But overall, I do feel like this is a great little palette. Obviously, great little travelling size. You know, I am really impressed with this palette, and I feel like I'm really impressed with the pigmentation. Again, the only ones that let me down swatch-wise are Jelly and Jammin'. And I do feel like with Jammin' especially, you do have to apply a little bit more of that to the lid, but Jelly pleasantly surprised me. So even though they don't swatch the best, I feel like I can let them get away with that, because the application to the eye, which is the most important thing, is pretty good. So okay guys, I hope that helped, and I hope it made a little bit of sense at least. Hopefully I'll get back to like feeling a little bit better, but I really wanted to get this review out there for you guys and show you the swatches and talk you through the shadows. So I hope you found this helpful in some way, and thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video if you did find it helpful, and don't forget to subscribe for more weekly videos, and I'll also see you in my next video. Bye.